The year 3278 marked 2 centuries since humanity had expanded its colonial network across the Milky Way. In the outermost reaches of the galaxy, the void sector stretched like a dark canvas painted with drifting shipwreckage and failed terraforming attempts. A galactic graveyard, as space travelers called it. Peter Harlow navigated his salvage vessel. Mercy's light through this desolate expanse. An orphan who'd learned to survive by scavenging valuables from abandoned ships. Peter had grown accustomed to isolation. His small but efficient craft contained everything he needed: salvage equipment, survival rations, and most importantly, solitude. The Dominion Empire controlled the primary trade routes between stars with an iron grip. Their patrols rarely ventured into the void sector, making it ideal for independent operators like Peter, who preferred to avoid entanglements with authority. The Empire was particularly harsh on those who violated space laws, and rumors persisted about their brutal treatment of the Valith, cosmic wolves once thought to be mere legend. These shape-shifting beings had been hunted nearly to extinction, with only scattered nomadic tribes surviving throughout the galaxy. Peter's scanner beeped, interrupting his thoughts. An emergency beacon pulsed on his detection grid, emanating from deep within the sector. The signal pattern matched no known identification code in his database. "Unusual frequency," he muttered, his fingers tapping the navigation console. Protocol dictated reporting such anomalies to Dominion outposts, but Peter rarely followed protocol. Besides, salvage operators lived by a simple creed: whoever found it first claimed it first. He adjusted course, reasoning that any ship capable of transmitting might contain valuable technology. As he approached, the silhouette of an ancient vessel materialized against the backdrop of distant stars. Unlike the utilitarian design of modern spacecraft, this relic featured elegant, flowing lines with intricate patterns etched into its hull. The ship appeared to have existed for millennia, potentially an intergalactic vessel from before the Dominion's rise. Peter docked his craft against the derelict's emergency airlock. The magnetic seal engaged with a dull thud, and atmosphere readings confirmed minimal life support, still functioning within. Donning his exosuit and arming his multi-tool, he cycled through the airlock. The interior was bathed in dim, emergency lighting, casting long shadows across ornately decorated corridors. Unlike Dominion vessels with their stark utilitarian design, this ship featured flowing script and symbols etched into every surface. Peter's scanner struggled to analyze the material composition of the walls, which seemed to absorb and redirect light in unusual patterns. Following the beacon signal, he navigated deeper into the vessel. His breathing quickened as the detector led him toward what appeared to be the central chamber. The ship's internal temperature dropped steadily as he approached, frost forming on his visor. When the chamber door slid open, Peter froze. In the center of the room, surrounded by broken equipment and damaged consoles, lay a massive creature. Its silver-white fur was matted with blue fluid. Blood, he presumed. The creature resembled a wolf but was far larger than any Earth canine, with 6 limbs arranged in a configuration that suggested both quadrupedal and bipedal movement capabilities. Its chest heaved with labored breathing. The cosmic wolf, for that's what it had to be, raised its head weakly, revealing luminous, silver eyes. Peter's scanner went haywire, unable to process the biological readings. He faced a critical decision. The creature was clearly dying. The logical, self-preserving choice would be to retreat, wait for nature to take its course, then salvage whatever valuables remained. Yet, something in those silver eyes made him hesitate. "Dominion would pay a fortune for you," he whispered, "or I could just leave you be." The wolf made a soft whimpering sound, collapsing back onto the cold deck. Peter sighed, cursing his own sentimentality. He reached for his emergency ration pack, breaking the seal on a nutrient solution designed for humanoid consumption. It wasn't ideal, but it contained basic proteins and hydration compounds that might help. Approaching cautiously, He knelt beside the massive creature. Its ribcage trembled with each shallow breath. Peter placed the nutrient solution near its muzzle, prepared to leap away if it attacked. The wolf sniffed once, then weakly lapped at the liquid. Its enormous tongue swept through the container, emptying it instantly. Peter provided another, then another, until his emergency supplies were depleted. Gradually, the creature's breathing steadied. While the wolf rested, Peter examined the chamber. The intricate patterns on the walls seemed to pulse faintly, somehow synchronized with the creature's heartbeat. A subtle glow emanated from beneath the wolf's fur, concentrating around its wounds. Cautiously, Peter reached toward one of the injuries, curiosity overriding caution. The moment his fingers contacted the matted fur, energy surged through the room. The wall patterns blazed with light, and the space around them distorted, as if reality itself were being rewritten. Peter stumbled backward as the wolf's body began to shift. Its form contracted and expanded simultaneously, the silver fur seeming to melt inward while maintaining its luminescence. The transformation lasted only seconds, but to Peter, it felt like hours. Where the wolf had lain, a woman now rested. Her skin was pale with a silver undertone, and her long, silver-gray hair floated as if suspended in water despite the ship's artificial gravity. Her features were both beautiful and wild, with high cheekbones and those same luminous silver eyes. She wore what appeared to be a bodysuit, made of material similar to the ship's walls, with the same flowing patterns. "You have initiated the bonding ritual," she said, her voice melodic yet raw from disuse. "I am Rhea of the Veilith. You saved me when you could have left me to die." Peter backed away. "I didn't initiate anything, I just gave you food." Rhea struggled to sit upright. "In our darkest hour, we can establish an bond, a linking of two souls. Your compassion triggered the process." She looked at her hands in wonder. "I hadn't the strength to transform before you came." "What exactly does this bond mean?" Peter asked, anxiety rising. Rhea's eyes met his. "It means our abilities now flow between us. Can you not feel it already?" Peter was about to deny it when he realized the ambient sounds had changed. He could hear the ship's systems whirring with newfound clarity, detect the subtle scent of burnt metal and stale air, and, most disturbing, sense Rhea's life force pulsing in rhythm with his own. "What have you done to me?" he demanded. "I've done nothing." The bond forms naturally between compatible souls in moments of life preservation. She attempted to stand, but faltered. Peter instinctively caught her. "You need to rest." "There is no time." Her expression darkened. "If I sensed your approach, others will have detected the bonding energy signature." "Others?" "The Dominion." She spat the word like venom. "They have hunted my kind for generations. My homeworld, Sylveth Prime, was obliterated in their technological purge." "Why would they care about the Veilith?" "Because we represent what they fear most, power they cannot control." She gripped his arm. "I carry the collective memories of my people. Any who bond with us gain access to knowledge that could threaten Dominion supremacy." Peter's mind raced. He'd always maintained a low profile, avoiding entanglements with Dominion forces. Now he'd inadvertently formed some mystical connection with a hunted alien species. "I should leave you here," he said, more to convince himself than her. "This isn't my fight." "You already made it your fight when you saved me." Rhea's silver eyes flashed. "The bond cannot be broken. If the Dominion finds one of us, they find both." A distant alarm sounded through the derelict vessel. Peter's communication device chimed with an automated alert. 2 Dominion scout cruisers had entered the sector and were converging on their position. "They've detected us," Rhea whispered. Peter made a split-second decision. "My ship, now." Supporting Rhea. They hurried through the ancient corridors back toward his docked vessel. Each step sent pain through Rhea's newly transformed body, but determination drove her forward. They reached Mercy's Light just as the derelict shuddered, Dominion tractor beams attempting to lock on. Peter sealed the airlock and rushed to the cockpit, Rhea collapsing into the co-pilot's seat. The engines roared to life as he disengaged from the ancient ship. "Hold on," he warned, punching the acceleration to maximum. The small salvage vessel shot away from the derelict, hurtling toward a nearby asteroid field. The scout cruisers followed, their sleek, predatory forms designed for pursuit rather than combat. Peter weaved through the floating rocks, relying on years of experience navigating treacherous debris fields. "Incoming!" Rhea suddenly shouted, moments before a cruiser's energy beam sliced through space where they had just been. Peter stared at her. "How did you know?" "I sense the energy buildup before they fire." She placed her hand on the console. "Turn 20 degrees starboard. Now." Acting on instinct, Peter complied. A massive asteroid drifted into the path where they would have been, absorbing the cruiser's second shot. They continued this dance through the asteroid field, Rhea sensing danger moments before it materialized, Peter executing increasingly daring maneuvers. Despite their coordination, a glancing hit from a Dominion cruiser caused Mercy's Light to shudder violently. Warning lights flashed across the console. "Hull breach in the cargo bay," Peter announced grimly. "We need to land somewhere to make repairs." Rhea's silver eyes unfocused briefly. "There's a habitable moon 3 parsecs from here. It's uncharted by Dominion." "How could you possibly know that?" "The bond." Her lips curved slightly. "Your navigational knowledge combined with my spatial perception." Peter adjusted course. "If we survive this, you're explaining everything." The cruisers continued their pursuit, but Peter managed to increase their lead by skimming dangerously close to a gas giant's upper atmosphere. The gravitational interference disrupted the cruiser's targeting systems, long enough for Mercy's Light to break away toward the coordinates Rhea had provided. The small moon loomed ahead, its surface a tapestry of dense forests and shallow seas. Peter guided the damaged vessel into the atmosphere, fighting to maintain control as the hull integrity warnings blared. They landed roughly in a clearing, the ship's systems powering down to critical reserve levels. "We've got maybe an hour before they track us here," Peter said, grabbing emergency repair equipment. "Help me patch the hull." Working together, they sealed the breach. Peter marveled at how instinctively they moved in tandem, as if they'd been partners for years rather than hours. As night fell on the alien moon, they sat in the cockpit monitoring for Dominion signals. The forest outside rustled with unknown life forms, but scans indicated nothing immediately threatening. "There's something you're not telling me," Peter said, breaking the silence. "The Dominion doesn't commit resources like this for a single refugee." Rhea's luminous eyes reflected the console lights. "I am the last pure-blooded Huntress of the Valeth High Council. The others are scattered, diminished, or in hiding. I carry within me not just memories, but the biological template for our restoration." "So you're what, royalty?" "We do not recognize hierarchy as humans do. I am a keeper of ways, guardian of what remains." She touched her chest. "My genetic code contains adaptations from 1,000 worlds. The Dominion wants to extract and weaponize these adaptations." Peter ran his hands through his hair. "Great. I've bonded with the most wanted being in the galaxy." "You could have left me." "Yeah, well, apparently I'm not as pragmatic as I thought." He checked the scanner again. "We have 2 options. We can keep running and hope they lose interest, or... I've heard rumors about a resistance base near the collapsed star Gravity well in Sector 17. People say it harbors bonded pairs, humans, and Valeth who've formed connections like ours." Rhea's expression brightened. "The Sanctuary Collective. I believed it was merely a hope, not reality." "It might be a trap," Peter cautioned. "The Dominion could have planted those rumors to lure survivors. Yet, it may be our only chance." Rhea stood, steadier now. The bond will grow stronger. Soon. We'll emit an energy signature too powerful to mask with conventional technology. Peter considered their options. Every instinct screamed to run, to find some remote corner of the galaxy where the Dominion wouldn't follow. Yet something deeper, perhaps the bond itself, pulled him toward a different choice. Sector 17 it is, he decided. But first, we need to shake our pursuit. They spent the night making additional repairs to Mercy's Light and planning their route. By dawn, they were airborne again, skimming the moon's surface to mask their heat signature, before bursting into space on a trajectory that would take them through a dense nebula, perfect for losing pursuers. For 3 days, they traveled in relative silence, each processing the sudden, irreversible change to their lives. Peter struggled with the loss of his independence, while Rhea grappled with the responsibility of potentially leading Dominion forces to the last sanctuary of her people. On the 4th day, disaster struck, emerging from the nebula. They found themselves facing a Dominion cruiser, larger and more heavily armed than the scouts they'd encountered before. Before Peter could reverse course, a tractor beam locked onto Mercy's Light, immobilizing the small vessel. "They've found us," Rhea whispered, her silver eyes wide with fear. "Stay behind me," Peter instructed, as the airlock sensors indicated forced entry procedures. "Let me do the talking." The airlock cycled open to reveal 4 Dominion Marines in full combat gear, pulse rifles aimed at their chests. Behind them stood a tall figure in an officer's uniform adorned with elite insignia. "Peter Harlow," the officer said, his voice cultured and cold. "And the Valeth specimen. How fortunate we found you before you reached your destination." The Marines surrounded them, magnetic restraints clicking around their wrists. "How do you know my name?" Peter demanded. The officer smiled thinly. "We know everything about you. I am Admiral Corrin, Director of the Human Enhancement Program. You and your companion will accompany us to the command ship." They were marched through Mercy's Light to the Dominion vessel. Peter's salvage ship was secured in a holding bay, while they were escorted to separate detention cells. Despite Rhea's weakened state, she maintained a regal bearing, her silver eyes meeting those of every Marine who dared look at her. For hours, Peter sat alone in his cell, the bond with Rhea strangely muted by the specialized containment field. Eventually, the door slid open, and Admiral Corrin entered, flanked by 2 guards. "Mr. Harlow, I believe we have much to discuss," Corrin said, taking a seat across from Peter. "Do you know who your parents were?" Peter's expression remained neutral. "They died in a transport accident when I was a child." "Is that what you were told?" Corrin activated a holographic display. Images of 2 scientists appeared, a man and woman working in a laboratory. Dr. Aaron Harlow and Dr. Elena Marlowe, pioneering researchers in cross-species genetic integration. "Your parents." Peter stared at the images, recognizing his mother's eyes, his eyes in her face. "They were developing protocols for controlled bonding between humans and Valeth," Corrin continued. "The Dominion funded their research, expecting weapons we could use against rival empires. Instead, they discovered something far more valuable, a true symbiosis that enhanced both species." "What happened to them?" Peter asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "They refused to weaponize their findings. When they discovered the Dominion's intentions for their research, specifically for you, they attempted to flee with their data." Corrin's expression hardened. "Their transport didn't crash. It was eliminated." Peter's hands clenched into fists. "You murdered them!" "The Dominion protected its interests, as we always do." Corrin leaned forward. "Your genetic structure was designed for optimal bonding with Valeth physiology. You are literally made for this purpose. Peter, the irony that you found and bonded with the last High Huntress through random chance rather than our careful planning is irritating." "What do you want from me?" "Your cooperation. Help us locate the remaining Valeth. Use your bond to access the collective knowledge the female carries. In return, you'll receive everything you've ever wanted: wealth, position, purpose. Peter laughed bitterly. And if I refuse? Then we extract what we need by force. The process will likely kill both of you, but we'll have what we require. Corin stood. Consider carefully. You are not the idealist your parents were. You're a pragmatist, a survivor. Make the practical choice. After Corin left, Peter was escorted to a larger chamber where Rhea was already waiting, restrained to a metal chair. Various scanning devices surrounded her, and technicians monitored readings from her body. She looked pale, but defiant. "Peter," she acknowledged, relief briefly crossing her features. "Touching reunion," Corin said, entering behind Peter. "Now, shall we begin? Either you voluntarily share the locations of remaining Valeth enclaves, or we start the extraction process." Peter met Rhea's gaze. Through their bond, weakened though it was by the suppression field, he felt her resolve, and something else. A plan. "I'll help you," Peter said suddenly. "But I need direct access to the bond. These suppression fields are blocking our connection." Corin considered this. "Lower the suppression field, but maintain physical restraints," he ordered the technicians. "At the first sign of resistance, reactivate at maximum power." As the field powered down, the bond between Peter and Rhea surged back to life. Images flooded Peter's mind. Star maps, hidden bases, scattered Valeth survivors. But beneath these surface thoughts, Rhea communicated something else. "Wait. Help comes." "Well," Corin demanded, "where are they hiding?" Peter closed his eyes, pretending to concentrate. "I see. Fragments. The bond needs to strengthen further to access specific coordinates." "Do not attempt deception," Corin warned. "We have ways—" An explosion rocked the chamber, cutting off his words. Alarms blared throughout the command ship. "Intruder alert," an automated voice announced. "Security breach in sectors 7 through 12. Corin barked orders into his communication device as Marines rushed to defensive positions. In the confusion, Peter felt a surge through the bond. Rhea was channeling energy into their restraints, weakening the molecular structure. With a sharp crack, Peter's restraints shattered. He immediately lunged for the nearest technician, seizing the man's weapon before freeing Rhea. "This way," she urged, leading him toward a service corridor as weapons fire erupted behind them. They raced through the massive Dominion vessel, Rhea somehow knowing which turns to take, despite never having been aboard. Twice, they encountered Marine patrols, but each time, Peter found himself reacting with unprecedented speed and precision, disabling the soldiers before they could sound alerts. "The bond," Rhea explained as they ran. "My combat instincts, your human musculature." They rounded a corner and nearly collided with a tall, imposing figure, half human, half beast. The being's features were partially shifted into a leonine configuration, with amber eyes and a mane-like growth of hair. "Seraphine," Rhea breathed in recognition. The transformed being nodded. "Hi, Huntress. We detected your bonding signature and tracked you to this vessel." Behind Seraphine stood several others, some fully human, others in various states of transformation. "The Sanctuary Collective sent us to retrieve you both." "The suppression systems," Peter began, "are disabled," Seraphine assured them. "We have operatives throughout this ship. Come, our extraction vessel awaits." They followed Seraphine's team through the command ship, witnessing firsthand the effectiveness of bonded pairs in combat. Humans moved with the heightened senses and reflexes of their Valeth partners, while the Valeth demonstrated an understanding of Dominion technology that could only have come from their human bonds. As they approached the hangar bay, Admiral Corin appeared with an elite squad of Marines. "Stop them!" he commanded. "The Valeth must not escape." Seraphine charged forward. her partially transformed body absorbing multiple energy blasts without faltering. The other bonded pairs engaged the Marines, while Peter and Rhea circled toward the extraction vessel. Corin, seeing his prey escaping, drew his sidearm and fired directly at Rhea. Peter, acting on bond-enhanced instincts, threw himself into the path of the energy pulse. Pain exploded across his chest as the blast connected, sending him sprawling. Rhea's scream of rage echoed through the hangar. Her form shifted partially, silver fur erupting along her arms as she lunged at Corin with inhuman speed. The Admiral raised his weapon again, but too late. Rhea's transformed hand closed around his throat, lifting him off the ground. "Rhea!" Peter called, struggling to his feet despite the burning pain. "We need to go!" For a moment, she seemed lost to fury, her silver eyes blazing with accumulated centuries of Valeth suffering. Then, slowly, she lowered Corin to the ground. "You are not worth compromising my soul," she told him coldly. "But know this, your empire of fear ends today." She rejoined Peter, supporting his injured body as they boarded the extraction vessel. Seraphine and the surviving bonded pairs followed, sealing the hatch as Dominion reinforcements poured into the hangar. The small craft shot from the command ship, its advanced propulsion system quickly outpacing pursuit. As they accelerated to light speed, a medic, a human woman bonded to a Valeth healer, tended to Peter's wound. "The blast cauterized most of the damage," she informed him. "You'll live, though not without an impressive scar." Peter grimaced. "Small price to pay." Rhea sat beside him, her features returned to fully humanoid form. "You risked your life for me." The bond enhances what already exists," she interrupted. "It cannot create sacrifice where there is no care." Their vessel traveled for hours through uncharted routes, eventually approaching what appeared to be empty space near a collapsed star. As they drew closer, a massive space station materialized, its hull incorporating the same flowing patterns as the derelict where Peter had found Rhea. "Resistance base," Seraphine announced. "Welcome to the last free sanctuary in the galaxy." The station's interior was a marvel of integrated technology, human engineering seamlessly merged with Valeth biological architecture. Corridors seemed to breathe, walls pulsed with light that responded to the occupant's presence, and gravity shifted subtly to accommodate different physiological needs. They were escorted to a circular chamber where several figures waited, both human and Valeth, all exuding an aura of authority tempered by hardship. "Hi, Huntress," one of the Valeth elders greeted Rhea. "We had feared you lost." "I would have been without Peter Harlow," she replied, resting her hand on Peter's shoulder. The gathered leaders introduced themselves, Captain Torres and his Valeth partner Kale, who coordinated defense, Jake and Zara, responsible for intelligence gathering, and others whose roles formed the backbone of the resistance. Corin revealed that the Dominion doesn't simply want to eliminate the Valeth. Peter told them once introductions were complete. "They're trying to harvest your adaptive abilities to create weapons." "We've suspected as much," Captain Torres nodded grimly. "Our intelligence suggests they've established a primary research facility at Nexus Station, their communications hub. With Rhea captured, they would have completed their work," Kale added. "Now they'll be desperate to retrieve her." Seraphine stepped forward. "Then we must strike first. Nexus controls all Dominion communications across 3 sectors. If we can disable it, Emperor Vex would be forced to respond personally," Jake finished. "He never trusts subordinates with major systems restoration." Peter looked between them. "You want to assassinate the Emperor?" "We want to end the genocide," Zara corrected. "Vex has driven the extermination campaign personally for decades. With him removed, the Dominion would fracture into competing factions, giving us time to rescue the remaining Valeth and establish a permanent safe haven." Discussion continued late into the night, strategies forming and reforming as intelligence was evaluated. Peter, despite his injury, found himself contributing tactical insights that seemed to flow naturally from his bond with Rhea. The plan that emerged was audacious, but feasible. Jake and Zara would plant advanced sensor devices around Nexus, allowing them to monitor Dominion movements. Captain Torres and Kale would infiltrate the engineering sections and deploy EMP seeds, devices that would temporarily disable communications across the station. Meanwhile, Peter and Rhea would access the central control room, where they would use their bonded abilities to override security systems. The goal is to create a situation so critical that Emperor Vex has no choice but to come personally. Torres explained, "When he arrives, we strike." For 2 weeks, they prepared. Peter and Rhea spent hours daily strengthening their bond, learning to channel their shared energy with greater precision. Peter discovered he could interface with technology in ways that seemed almost magical, his mind extending into computer systems through Rhea's Valeth abilities. On the night before the mission, Peter found Rhea on an observation deck, gazing at the collapsed star that shielded their base from detection. "Second thoughts?" he asked, joining her. "Fear," she admitted. "Not of dying, of failing. If we're captured, the Dominion gains everything they need to hunt down the rest of my people." Peter took her hand, feeling the now familiar surge of energy between them. "We won't fail." "How can you be so certain?" "Because I've seen what bonded pairs can accomplish." He smiled slightly. "Besides, I'm tired of running." The next morning, their strike team departed aboard a vessel disguised as a supply transport. Using forged clearance codes, they approached Nexus Station, a massive structure resembling a metal spider suspended at the junction of several major hyperspace lanes. "Identities confirmed," came the automated response to their docking request. "Proceed to Bay 17 for cargo inspection." The moment they docked, the operation began. Jake and Zara slipped away to plant their sensors, while Torres and Kale headed for the engineering decks. Peter and Rhea, disguised as maintenance personnel, made their way toward the central control hub. Twice they encountered security patrols, but their enhanced abilities allowed them to move with such confidence that no one questioned their presence. When they reached the outer chamber of the control hub, Rhea sensed the guards' positions before they came into view, allowing Peter to time their approach perfectly. "Now," Peter whispered into his communicator once they were in position. Throughout the station, EMP seeds activated, causing localized power fluctuations. Alarms blared as primary systems failed, creating precisely the kind of crisis they had planned for. Within hours, a priority transmission reached the station. Emperor Vex himself was en route to oversee the restoration of Nexus's critical functions. Peter and Rhea, now hidden in a maintenance shaft near the main docking bay, watched through security feeds as the Imperial vessel arrived. Surrounded by elite guards, a tall figure in gleaming black armor disembarked. Emperor Vex, ruler of the Dominion, architect of the Valeth genocide. "His armor," Rhea whispered. "It's integrated with Valeth biotechnology. He's been using my people's abilities while slaughtering them." The Emperor strode purposefully toward the central control hub, his guards clearing a path through the chaotic station. Following at a distance, Peter and Rhea silently coordinated with the other teams. When Vex reached the control room and dismissed all but his personal guard, they made their move. Torres and Kale triggered the remaining EMP seeds, plunging the control hub into darkness. In the confusion, Peter and Rhea slipped inside, their bond allowing them to navigate perfectly, despite the lack of light. Emergency systems engaged, bathing the room in red illumination. Emperor Vex stood at the central console, his armored back to them. "Peter Harlow," he said without turning, "and the Valeth Huntress, you are bold to come directly to me." "How did you—" "Your energy signature is unique." Vex finally faced them, his features hidden behind his helmet's opaque visor. "A perfect bond, just as the Harlow scientist predicted. You were designed to hunt her kind, yet here you stand as her protector. Ironic." "This ends today," Peter declared, The persecution of the Valeth, the harvesting of their abilities, all of it. You presume to challenge me? Vex laughed. The sound distorted through his helmet. I control the most powerful empire in galactic history. Behind Vex, the doors slid open again. Seraphine and the other bonded pairs entered silently, surrounding the Emperor and his guards. You control nothing without your technology, Rhea said, stepping forward. And we have disabled that. Vex's guards raised their weapons. But Peter, channeling energy through the bond, reached out with his mind toward the station systems. Throughout Nexus, lights flickered as he diverted power. The guards' weapons powered down, rendered useless. Impossible, Vex breathed. The bond makes many things possible, Rhea replied, including this. She extended her hand, silver energy crackling between her fingers. The bonded pairs around the room did the same, each human Valeth couple generating a similar energy signature. Together, they created a biolink surge, a living wave of power that washed over the Emperor and his guards. Vex's armor, despite its advanced technology, began to malfunction. Components shorted out as the biolink energy penetrated its systems. The Emperor staggered, then fell to his knees as his life support systems failed. With trembling hands, he removed his helmet, revealing a gaunt, pale face lined with implants, technological enhancements that had extended his life far beyond normal human limits. You cannot change the order of things, he gasped. The Dominion will continue. Not as it was, Torres said, stepping forward with restraints. Your reign ends here. In the days that followed, news of Emperor Vex's capture spread throughout the galaxy. Without central leadership, Dominion forces fell into disarray. Some commanders maintained their persecution of the Valeth, but many others, seeing the tide turning, stood down. The Resistance used Nexus's communication systems to contact hidden Valeth enclaves across 47 worlds, coordinating evacuations and establishing safe routes to the Sanctuary Collective. For the first time in generations, the scattered remnants of the Valeth people began to reunite. Peter, once a solitary salvage pilot, found himself honored as a bridgekeeper, one who had formed a bridge between humanity and the Valeth. His ship, Mercy's Light, recovered from the Dominion command ship, was placed in a memorial hall within the Resistance base, a testament to how small acts of compassion could change the course of history. Rhea took her place among the Valeth Council, becoming High Huntress in truth as well as title. She coordinated the protection of her people while helping Peter explore the deeper aspects of their bond, abilities that continued to evolve as their connection strengthened. 6 months after Vex's capture, Peter stood on the observation deck of the newly renamed Unity Station, watching as combined human Valeth crews worked to transform the former Void Sector into a monument to those lost in the genocide. Rhea joined him, her silver eyes reflecting the distant stars. "What are you thinking?" she asked, though the bond likely told her already. "About choices," he replied. "If I'd followed protocol, if I'd left you on that derelict." "But you didn't," she took his hand. "One act of compassion changed everything." "We still have a long way to go," Peter noted. "Many Dominion commanders remain loyal to Vex's vision." "And we will face them together," Rhea assured him. "The Valeth and humans, bonded in purpose as we are bonded in spirit." Beyond the viewport, a transport ship arrived, carrying more rescued Valeth. Children with silver eyes peered excitedly from the windows, many seeing others of their kind for the first time in their young lives. "That," Peter said, pointing to the children, "is worth fighting for." "Yes," Rhea agreed, leaning against him as their bond hummed with shared purpose. "That is worth everything." The Void Sector, once a galactic graveyard, was becoming something new, a testament to what could be built when different species recognized their common hopes and dreams. And, at its heart stood Peter and Rhea, once strangers from different worlds, now bonded as one in a union that promised to reshape the stars themselves.